Hello everyone, so today we're going to be looking at thermoregulation, and this is the regulation of your body temperature. So we're looking at how your body maintains homeostasis, specifically how it maintains relatively stable internal body temperature. So your body, as humans, wants to keep an internal environment of 37 degrees Celsius, and this is our optimal temperature for our cells to function. If your ability to regulate your temperature is disrupted, you may overheat, which is hyperthermia, or you may lose too much heat, hypothermia. So we want to remember that hyper means high. Oh, excuse my handwriting here. And hypo means low. Thermia, I'll do a different color, refers to temperature. So hyperthermia is high temperature, hypothermia is low temperature. And if we go too far into hypothermia or hypothermia, we can slow down blood flow, and it can also impair or slow down organ function. Thermoregulation occurs via a negative feedback loop, which we have looked at, and I've got an example on the next slide. So this is a little bit more complicated than what we looked at in the last video, but we've still got the stimulus, receptor, modulator, effector, and response, which counteracts our stimulus because it's a negative feedback loop. So our stimulus, change in internal body and or environmental temperature. Our thermoreceptors in our body pick this up, they detect this, and they pass this message on to the modulator, so specifically our hypothalamus. This will compare the temperature change in the stimulus to our normal temperature range. It will send a signal to the effectors, which can be a variety of cells and tissue, which produce a response, changing our heat or body temperature, counteracting that stimulus. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail of this in just a second. So when your body increases in temperature, so when your temperature gets too high, so over 37 degrees Celsius, your body will produce a response to reduce your temperature in two ways. So it will increase heat lost to the environment, so the amount of heat you're releasing from your body, or it can decrease the amount of heat being produced by your body. So let's look at this using the stimulus response model. So we have our stimulus, the increase in body temperature. Our thermoreceptors, such as nerves in skin and your brain, pick up this stimulus, sends this as a message to your hypothalamus, your modulator, which then sends on another signal to cells and tissues saying that our body temperature has increased outside or above the normal range, sends it to your effectors such as your sweat glands, which will produce a response such as sweating, which cools your body down. Another effector might be blood vessels. Your blood vessels will produce a response of vasodilation. So vaso meaning blood vessels, and dilate means it gets bigger. So your blood vessels will expand, and this allows you to release heat into the environment. Another effector could also be your cerebral cortex, which is a part of your brain. This response could be a change in your behavior. So maybe you turn the fan on, or maybe you take your jumper off. Another effector might be the erector pili muscles. This helps your hair lay flat on your skin, and so this allows more air to pass over your skin. Effector could be cells, and this could reduce the metabolic rate. So this is reducing the amount of heat produced by your body by reducing the amount of energy that is produced in general by your cells. So over the next few slides, there are examples of how your body does this, and it goes into a little bit more detail. What I would do is I would remember maybe one or two of these examples in detail. You don't need to know every single one. Most of this will be pretty common sense because we know what happens to our bodies when we get too hot. And you know what happens. So if we're looking at the effector, which is sweat glands, and we're going to look at that in a little bit detail here, the response is sweating. So as heat leaves your body via evaporation of sweat, on your skin, you cool your body down. So that's how this response will cool your body down and counteract that stimulus. Another one that I really like is your blood vessels as an effector, and so they produce a response of vasodilation. So the blood vessels expand, allows more blood flow to the surface of your skin, and heat is lost to the environment by convection. So these are two ways that your body will try to increase the heat lost to the environment, therefore reducing your internal body temperature and maintaining homeostasis. This is the example of the erector pili muscles, and then you've got your cells here, as well as your cerebral cortex. I'll give you a moment to look over these if you want to go back in the slides and have a look at them. Like I said, a good idea to remember one or two effectors and the response and exactly how that response counteracts the stimulus. So we know this is thermoregulation. So this whole process is thermoregulation, and this is your body responding to reduce the internal body temperature and maintaining that optimal body temperature. So let's have a look at what happens now if there is a decrease in body temperature. So your internal body temperature gets too cold, it's under 37 degrees Celsius. Your body is going to produce a response to increase your temperature then. And it's going to do this by decreasing heat lost to the environment or increasing the amount of heat produced by your body. So again, we're going to use a stimulus response model. So your stimulus is the decrease in body temperature. The thermoreceptors in your nerves, in skin and brain pick this up, send a message to the modulator, which is your hypothalamus, which sends on a signal to cells and tissues. An example of an effector is the skeletal muscle cells. Your response is shivering. This response is going to increase the amount of heat that your body produces. Another effector is your blood vessels. They're going to vasoconstrict, right? Remember, vaso means blood vessels and constrict means getting smaller. So your blood vessels are going to get smaller. Cerebral cortex is an effector. Again, the response is changing in behavior. You turn on the heater, you put on a jumper. Another effector is the erector pili muscles. This is going to allow your hair to stand up on your skin, and it's going to trap a layer of heat between your hair and your skin, keeping you a little bit warmer. And again, your cells, you're going to increase your metabolic rate. You're going to increase the amount of energy you're producing and increase the amount of heat your body is producing. Again, there are a few different examples here of the effectors and the responses, and specifically how these responses increase your body temperature. So I'd remember one or two of these. Shivering is a really good example. So this is your skeletal muscle cells, or skeletal muscle, producing a response. So they are shaking, and this is shivering, and this is going to increase the amount of heat that your body is producing. Another one is blood vessels. We have vasoconstriction. Your blood vessels tighten. They reduce the amount of blood flow to the surface of the skin, and therefore reducing the heat lost to the environment. So in this first example with the skeletal muscles, we're increasing the amount of heat produced. And the second example, we are decreasing the amount of heat lost to the environment. Again, we have the erector pili muscles, allowing your hair to stand up, and your cells increasing the metabolic rate. Again, your cerebral cortex, which produces a response of changing your behavior. So read through these if you like, pick out one or two that you think you can remember as examples to use in an exam or a test or a SAC. Again, this is thermoregulation. You are reducing internal body temperature, this should be increasing body temperature and maintaining homeostasis, which is a comfortable 37 degrees. This is a summary of what happens when you increase your body temperature. This summarizes everything pretty simply for you, and then we have another one for the stimulus of decrease in body temperature. And lastly, we come back to our stimulus response model, our negative feedback loop. I hope after going through this video, you'll be able to know what the stimulus is, the receptors, the modulator, the different effectors, so remember one or two of them, and the responses that they produce to counteract that stimulus. As usual, I'm going to leave you with this meme. Please write down any questions you have and bring them to class, and I will see you there.